Hello everyone, thank you for joining me for what will be a slightly different kind of video today. I wanted to take this opportunity as the holiday season approaches to make a short video about mental health and plant care. I am talking about the specific modality of writing in a journal. Today I am setting up a bullet journal spread to track several key plant tasks. This will enable me to see at a glance what is done and what still needs to be completed. I know that it can be difficult to recreate journal layouts like this from sight alone, so I will have a link to a printable copy of the page I make today in the description below. We know that plants are supposed to be our escape from the stressors of life, but we also know that plants can cause a lot of stress in and of themselves. When you add ongoing care, suddenly the amount of work you need to do to keep your collection healthy can become overwhelming. Perhaps you are like me and want to track your activities to see how productive you are during the day because you struggle with feeling as though you don't do enough each day. No? Okay, maybe that's just me. The most important thing I will say in this video is that if you struggle with mental health issues, you are not alone. The National Institute of Mental Health estimates that almost 54 million, or 22.8%, of Americans suffer from some type of mental illness. Unfortunately, only about 26.5 million, or 47.2%, of those affected receive any type of treatment. I can speak to both sides of that coin. I live with mental illness, but I grew up in a family that believed that psychiatry was, quote, quack science and that, quote, psychiatrists and therapists were just a big ripoff. Mental health treatment in my family growing up consisted of saying, pull yourself up by your bootstraps and get off your pity pot. Instead of entering my adult years properly undergoing treatment, I instead slowly spiraled out of control until I had a break with reality when I was 32. That's when I was diagnosed and started receiving proper treatment. After I finished marking out the lines in pen, I erase all the pencil lines so the finished pages are crisp and clean. Then I begin to decorate the pages. The first thing I do is measure out some decorative printed tissue paper. I glue it down with some Mod Podge, though any type of clear drying paper glue will do. I will add a light layer of glue on top to seal the paper in for the next step. I want to reassure anyone out there who may struggle with mental health issues in a family of non believers that you are not alone. Try to take individual self care steps to release as much stress and anxiety as possible. Keeping a bullet journal that includes pages like this is one of my most effective self care techniques. It is a non biased, non threatening representation of where I'm at in my day to day journey, and it does not require emotional journaling to record activities if I am not up to the task. For me personally, tracking the things I can control in my day to day life helps me stay positive about my life as a whole. When the Mod Podge is dry, I use a mixture of watercolor paints to color the tissue paper and journal paper. This needs to be done after testing on a scrap piece of paper first. Not all journal paper is thick enough to support watercolor paint, and the paper may shred. No matter what paper you use, please keep in mind that this is a minimal water use project. You do not want to overly soak the paper. I color every area of the paper that does not have writing or is outside a box. This is my preference, and you may decorate the page as you wish. This is part of what makes it so fun. After I finish painting the color on the page, I have to do some cleanup work. I probably wouldn't have to do this if I was more careful, but oh well. At least I get a chance to show you how I fix mistakes. The easiest and cleanest way, and the way I wish I had, is to use correction tape that comes in a little dispenser pen that you just apply to the page. Since I don't have that, I am painting bleed-proof white watercolor paint over the areas I wish to cover up. It's not a perfect solution as you can see, but it gets the job done. Once I finish correcting the mistakes and the white paint is dry, I can move on to the next step. The next step for this layout is the tip-in page. This will be a half-size page inserted in the center like a book page. It will contain a small amount of information that can be viewed without hiding the pages below it. I start with a calendar stamp. You don't need this. I'm using dot grid paper, and one square of the paper is equal to one day on the calendar. You can draw your own calendar by using this key, then drawing a box around the desired month's number of days. I am tracking 6 tasks, so I will stamp the calendar image 3 times on each side of the page. Don't mind the fact that I didn't get all the images perfectly lined up. This is handmade after all. I'm using permanent waterproof ink so it will not smear as I paint around it. Then I write the item each calendar will track, and I begin to color the page with watercolor paints as I did the rest of the page. I leave it to dry when finished painting. Plants can be a form of self-care as well. I gather a great deal of peace and relaxation tending to my plants. I love taking a long look at them every morning and every evening as I close my window blinds. I enjoy working with the plants, be it repotting them, propagating them, trellising them. Even watering, once I finally get started, can be a relaxing activity. But we all know that plants can become stressors in and of themselves. Pests break out, yellow leaves start popping up, a plant suddenly goes belly up. And in those cases, especially in those cases, I have found the shortened structure of a journal such as this can let me know when progress has been made or that at least the end of a treatment is near. And I can record the information in a non judgmental way so that when I look back on this in the future, I won't get triggered from reading all the notes. After the page fully dries, I take a piece of decorative washi tape and attach the tip end to the book. Once the tape is in the book, I use my craft knife to cut the tape back so that you can see the text box on the main page more clearly. Then I fully secure the tip in to the book by taping the back side in the same way. There are many ways to keep a bullet journal about your plant activities. The pages I'm making today include a space for a to-do list, a space for information on propagations, miscellaneous chores, a plant buy list, though you'll probably see I misspelled it as plant buy list, plant sell list, and calendar spaces for 6 individual chores. You can customize the printable to include whatever you want to track. The pages I'm working on today are part of a larger bullet journal system. I personally track overall plant chore activity on my weekly log. However, this is simply a box on a checklist of daily activities I want to track, but isn't specific to any plant chore. Thank you for joining me for today's video. If you have any questions or comments, please leave them below. If you liked today's video, please consider giving it a thumbs up. If you'd like to see other plant-related content from me, please consider subscribing to my channel. It helps me out a lot. And until next time, see you then. Thanks. Bye.